Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Cozy Chair, a reading channel for kids. I hope that you are having a wonderful day today listening to these stories. Well, do you see our jelly bean jar? It's getting really full of all the wonderful things you kids have been doing. Now, if you don't know why we're filling up a jelly bean jar, you've got to click the link below and go listen to Jelly Bean and the One Good Thing. In that story, her father tells her, "For every one good thing you do, I'll grant you one jelly bean." So that's it. That's what we're doing here. For every one good thing you do, I will put a jelly bean in the jar. So you can send me your one good thing on Instagram at the Cozy Chair Club. And then I'll put your name in the jar. Make sure to tag 3 people that would also like to play the jelly bean game. And you can also follow along Jelly Bean Book on Instagram. It's a really fun Instagram account. I don't run it, but they do fun activities with that book. Okay, so I have 2 jelly beans for today. This one is for Sam. Now Sam vacuumed the living room for his mom. Way to go, Sam. That's so sweet. I hope you keep doing wonderful things for your mom. And this one is for Anne. Anne took a classmate to the school nurse when he got hurt. Now that is super sweet. Thank you, Anne. Now we're going to snap these jelly beans in the jar, okay? On the count of 3, we're going to go snap. 1, 2, 3, snap. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, snap! Just like that! They plopped right into the jar. Now there's not very much room left for any more jelly beans, so in a few days after we fill it all the way to the tip top, I'm going to do the drawing for the wonderful 6 copies I have of Jelly Bean and the One Good Thing. So make sure to stay tuned. Now today I have a fairy tale twist. This is called Cinderella, a wild western Cinderella. And this is by Susan Lowell and illustrated by Jane Manning. Now I have loved this book for a long time because my kids think it's so funny when I talk with a western accent. Now, it's not a super good one, but it's super funny. My kids think it's super funny. This one is published by Joanna Kotler Books, and that's an imprint of HarperCollins. Okay. Oh, look at this. Pretty little prairie girl. That is Cindy Ellen. Once, there was a rancher who married for a second wife the orneriest woman west of the Mississippi. She was meaner than a rattlesnake, and she had 2 daughters who were the spitting image of her. The rancher also had a daughter who was just as sweet and gentle as she could be. Her name was Cindy Ellen. Do you recognize this story? It's just like the story of Cinderella, but its setting is in the desert. Cindy was a pretty good cowgirl, too. Riding her little gray horse, she wrangled and roped and galloped and loped with the best buckaroos on the ranch. But as soon as the wedding was over, that snaky old stepmother began to pick on poor Cindy Ellen. She was so good she made her stepsisters look bad. So her stepmother made her do all the dirty work around the ranch. "Mend those fences, tend those cows," she would yell, "and shovel that corral." The stepsisters never did a lick of work all day, but Cindy didn't dare complain to her daddy, 'cause his new wife wore the pants in the family. When her chores were done, the poor girl used to sit down and rest among the ashes and cinders at the edge of the fireplace, so her older sisters nicknamed her Cinderbottom. The younger sister called her Cinderella, but underneath her dirty clothes, Cindy Ellen was still as pretty as a peach. Look at her. She has to do all the work. That mean stepmother. Then one day, the biggest cattle ranch for miles around invited all his neighbors to a 2-day celebration. First a wild and woolly rodeo, and then a square dance, a real western fandango. Cindy's stepsisters puffed up like 2 turkey gobblers. Even though they couldn't ride, they decided to gussy themselves fit to kill and enter the rodeo. Nice, patient Cindy Ellen ironed their frilly shirts and frizzled their hair for them. "Don't you wish you could go too, Cinderbottom?" sneered the older sister. "Aw, you're just poking fun at me," said Cindy sadly. "You're right," laughed the younger sister. "Nobody could tell you from a cloud of dust, Cinderella." Wow, they are really rude, aren't they? Look at this. It says, invite. They're inviting them to this big Western fandango and rodeo. Sure sounds fun, doesn't it? Oh, who do you think this is going to be? As soon as they were gone, poor Cindy Ellen broke down and cried. Then suddenly she heard a noise outside, almost like gunfire, but not quite. It wasn't bang, bang, it was more like bing, bing, and there stood a little old lady with a golden pistol still smoking in her hand. Who are you? Gasped Cindy Ellen. Say hello to your fairy godmother, Sugarfoot, the old lady said. She twirled the pistol, slapped it back in its holster, and took a good hard look at Cindy. What's the matter with you, honey? You're as down and dirty as a flop-eared hound dog. Stand up straight. Dust yourself off. I want to go to the rodeo, sobbed Cindy Ellen. Can you help? Maybe see, maybe no, said her fairy godmother. Magic is plump worthless without gumption. What you need first, gal, is some gravel in your gizzard, grit, guts. Stop that tomfool blubbering and let's get busy. Time's a-wasting. She reached for her golden six-gun, and Cindy yelled, Don't shoot! But her godmother had already fired. Bing! Straight up in the air. Oh, look at her! Look at that fairy godmother. She looks really silly, doesn't she? With her cowboy boots and her spurs and her vest, and look at those gloves. That would be a pretty silly godmother, wouldn't it? Bing! Ping! Glittery sparkles floated down from the sky and sprinkled Cindy all over with fairy dust. Instantly her heart was filled with strength and happiness, and her rags turned into the finest riding clothes west of the east. A creamy white Stetson had crowned her shiny hair, golden buckskin chaps encircled her legs, and a pretty little pair of cowboy boots hugged her feet like gloves. Buckled to the heel of each boot was a spur that shot out rays of fiery light. Those spurs were set with diamonds as big as sugar lumps. Now, said her fairy godmother briskly, where's that horse of yours? She fired her magic pistol into the air. Zing! And Cindy's little gray horse became a little silver horse with a softly sparkling coat. His hooves glittered as he pawed the ground. Hit the trail, honey, the old lady said. Remember, there ain't no horse that can't be rode, and there ain't no man that can't be throwed. And one more thing, get home before midnight, gal, or you'll be sorry. Oh, look, there she is, all dressed up for the rodeo. When Cindy Ellen pulled up at the rodeo, everybody turned and stared at the dazzling stranger on the silver horse. The rich rancher's son, a rodeo champion by the name of Joe Prince, came forward wearing his biggest belt buckle you ever saw and swept his hat off his head. Pleased to meet you, ma'am, he said. Likewise, said Cindy. Oh, she's ready for the rodeo, isn't she? Did you catch what his name is? His name is Joe Prince. He is a prince. Just then, Cindy's oldest stepsister rode a bucking bronco into the arena, and before she could say, oops-a-daisy, that cayuse wrinkled its spine, boiled over, and sent her chasing clouds way up in the sky. Then she bit the dust. Next came the second stepsister, but she couldn't ride a rail fence in a stiff breeze, and pretty soon she was eating gravel just like her sister. Cindy Ellen helped her stepsisters up and brushed them off, but they never even recognized her. Then she remembered her godmother's gift of gumption, and she gave Joe Prince a big daredevil grin. My turn, said Cindy Ellen. Oh, look at her poor stepsisters. They didn't ride the broncos very well, did they? No, they got bucked right off. Cindy Ellen climbed aboard a salty bronc with a belly full of bed springs, a real rip snorter. She touched him with her diamond spurs, and first he tried to crow hop, and then he cat-backed, and he sunfished, and he windmilled, and he jackknifed, but Cindy stuck to the saddle like a postage stamp. Ride 'em, cowgirl, cried the crowd, and Cindy Ellen was the winner with every curl in place. Next, with a figure eight, a butterfly, and a wedding ring, she won the trick roping event, and then she and her little horse really burned the breeze. They kicked the jackrabbits right off the trail. They left their shadows 20 miles behind them, and they won the horse race. They even beat Joe Prince. But Joe didn't seem to care. He herd on Cindy Ellen right up to the 11:15 at night, when she suddenly recalled her godmother's warning and went galloping home. She's got to get home, because now it's midnight. By the time she got there, her fine duds had shriveled into sorry rags again, but she still had plenty of gumption. After a while, her stepsisters hobbled in, all stove up from the rodeo. "Ha ha, you missed the champion cowgirl," the older sister jeered. "Nobody knows her name or where she disappeared to." "And that old Joe Prince is eating his old heart out," said the younger one. "I bet she comes to the square dance tomorrow night," said Cindy, with her new daredevil grin. The next evening her stepsisters got all dressed up like a sore thumb and strutted away to the dance, leaving Cindy Ellen all alone. But not for long. Who do you think is going to come join Cindy Ellen? I wonder if it will be... her godmother is coming! "What's that?" she said, peeking out the window. It looked like a cross between a comet and a dust storm. It sounded like a silver bells mixed with dynamite. "Let's get crackin', sweet pea!" shouted her fairy godmother. "You're late. Rustle me up the biggest, dumpiest, lumpiest squash you can find." And zingo! The squash became a stagecoach. "Next we check the trap line," said her godmother. Quick as a wink, she turned 6 cactus mice into 6 dappled horses, a fat pack rat into a stagecoach driver, and a rough, tough, horned toad into a stagecoach guard, riding shotgun beside the driver. Is that really fun what she's doing? Oh my heavens. Look at that horned toad. "But what about my ugly old clothes?" asked Cindy. The old lady answered with a blast of fairy dust that melted into a dress that shone like the sun, the moon, and all the stars together. The skirt floated over petticoats as soft and puffy as summer clouds. A rainbow of jewels glowed round Cindy Ellen's neck, and the little diamond spurs sparkled once more upon her boot heels. "Thank you, ma'am," she cried. The fairy godmother blew the smoke from her pistol, holstered it, and dusted off her hands. "Remember, Miss Cindy, pretty is as pretty does," she said. "Magic can backfire, midnight or bust." Cindy promised, and the stagecoach rumbled away. What do you think about that dress? Do you think it's a pretty dress if you're heading to a square dance? I think it's just perfect. When Cindy Ellen arrived at the Cattle King Square Dance, the fiddlers were tuning up for a toe-tapping jamboree. Joe Prince reached for Cindy's hand the instant he laid eyes on her. "Buckle on your partners, folks," he called, "and tell 'em to hang on. Let's shake your hooves like lightning until the early dawn." And Cindy answered, "Hurry up, cowboy, don't be slow. All I'm on day left and do-si-do. Hand over hand and heel over heel." Joe and Cindy danced the daisy chain, the whirl-away, the curly-cue, and the grand sachet. They made their feet go wickety-whack. "Swing 'em, boys," cried Cindy, "and do it right." And Joe called back, "Swing those girls till the middle of the night." Does that look so fun? Have you ever done square dancing? It can be really fun. Twirling, swirling, Cindy Ellen lost track of time, until all at once she heard the clock begin to strike 12. She hightailed it out of there lickety-split. "Whoa!" yelled Joe, hot on her heels, but he couldn't catch her. One of the diamond spurs fell off Cindy's boot as she ran, though, and Joe picked it up carefully out of the dust. He's got her spur. I wonder if he'll ever find her. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, not a particle remained of Cindy's gorgeous outfit, except for the second diamond spur, which she tucked away in her hip pocket. Pretty soon word got out that the champion cowgirl was a wanted woman. She'd left Joe Prince so lovelorn he was tracking her through the territory, and he vowed to marry the horsewoman whose boot fitted the little diamond spur. He tried it on many a foot, but not one could wear it. Look, he's trying it on all the ladies out there. But it's not fitting, is it? At last he came riding up to Cindy's father's place. "Go shovel out that stable," hissed the stepmother, and Cindy reluctantly obeyed. First Joe tried the diamond spur on the youngest stepsister, but no matter how he stretched the straps, her hoof was just too big. The older sister had crushed her feet into little bitty boots, so just for an instant the spur almost fitted, but then her boot split open and her toes popped out like puppies from a basket, and Joe Prince muttered, "Sorry," and he headed for the door. It didn't fit them, did it? "My turn," said a voice that stopped him in his tracks. It was Cindy Ellen, and although her mean stepsisters almost died laughing, Joe let Cindy have her chance, fair and square, and when he put the diamond spur around her dirty little boot, it fitted perfectly. Then she pulled out the second diamond spur and buckled it onto her other boot, and at that very moment Cindy's little horse gave a whinny, and everyone heard a noise like... Wingo, wingo, kazing! Let her rip, shouted Cindy Ellen's fairy godmother, brandishing her golden pistol. Hold your fire, yelled Joe Prince, but glistening sparks of fairy dust were already sprinkling down everywhere. They turned Cindy's clothes from cotton to satin, and they put quite a twinkle in Joe's eye, and Cindy's horse began to sparkle. Yee-haw! Yelled the fairy godmother. Look, she turned back into her beautiful dress. And now he really knows that it's her, doesn't he? So Cindy Ellen and Joe Prince got hitched and lived happily ever after in a ranch house full of love and rodeo trophies. Cindy's family moved into town where both stepsisters married city slickers, and Cindy's little horse kept its sparkling coat and its glittering hooves to the end of his days. I love this page. Look, it says, just hitched. Now if it says hitched, that means married. They got married. What did you think about that fun book? Did you recognize all of the parts about Cinderella and they just changed it? This can be a super fun thing for you to do this summer. I want you to think about your very favorite fairy tale. It could be Cinderella or Rumpelstiltskin or the Three Bears or the Three Little Pigs or really any story. And you can change it. You can make it happen in a different place. Like this one was pretty much the same story, but it happened out west, and it was a Western Cinderella. Maybe your story could take place in space, or maybe it could happen underground, or maybe you could take the story of Rapunzel, but make her a mermaid and put her in the water. Like, there's so many fun things you can do to twist up these fairy tales. Well, my favorite part in this book is the line that said, pretty is as pretty does. The things that we do on the inside make us beautiful on the outside. So I want you to remember that when you listen to the story about Cinderella. Now, the rest of you, I hope to hear your one good things you're doing. So make sure to send me an Instagram at the Cozy Chair Club, and I'll put a jelly bean in the jar for you. But you better do it soon, because we're almost out of space. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and tell all of your friends so I can have more kids to read to here on the Cozy Chair. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.